we often talk about the black community, but it'd be like, where is the black community
Right,
exactly?
right. Do we have
geographically?
right.
Geographically,
Right.
where's because there's a lot of other communities. It is really mapped out. Like this is definitely where they are. And in terms of the black dollar, we bought hors d'oeuvres, we bought a lot of different things for our session tonight, and I'm not sure how many. I don't think there was. I don't think there was much, if any.
Yeah.
None. Maybe none. Maybe none. I bought the fruits from the Koreans. I got the, no. I got the Jamaican jerk seasoning from the Korean.
And that's the thing, and that's the thing, and that's the thing in terms of saying black community. I think we need to even really realize that in my opinion, I don't believe we have a black community. We have black neighborhoods. We have black neighborhoods, not black communities. Because communities, it encompasses a lot.
Yeah.
Schools, it encompasses, businesses. It encompasses all of that. So if we just take where we're at, it's a black neighborhood, but it's not a black community.
Yeah, because if you notice the Jews have their own schools, they have their own police, they have their own ambulance, they have everything. They have their own stores. They are a community. Even if you have two that don't get along, don't let someone on the outside come to do something. They'll still stand up for the next Jew, even if they're not, together with, I'm really cool with that Jew. They'll still stand behind and call them their brother. We don't have that. So as you said, as Mike said, is really neighborhoods. It's not a community.
Yeah,
we don't have that. And also, as you said, with buying the stuff for the session, there are people that you'll be quicker to give your money to the next person, but when it comes to your own people, you're looking for a discount.
That's true.
There's no sense of community, and I think that goes back, as Sir Jules said, the post-traumatic slavery syndrome. It's like we're crabs in a barrel, and it goes back to those times, the way that we act now towards each other.
Well, you know what's so interesting about that too, and that anytime that phrase came up, because I was talking about that, the crabs in the barrel, and I believe I definitely understand a lot of stuff you're saying. Somebody told me because crabs don't belong in a barrel, and our situation and everything around us is a part of a larger social construct. Because let's go around the room right now, right? Rabia, you consider yourself a Black American, Afro American, right? Black. we knew we knew you was gonna get that, right?
Right.
Sandy, what do you identify with?
Consider myself black.
Right. All right. A lot of people, we could go around the room and everybody say it's black, but be like, yo, my family from Trinidad,
Exactly.
My family from Trinidad, Like, yeah, my family from the South. Well, my family from South America, from Guyana. Yeah, my family's Brazilian. We're the only people who were just scattered across the world, and then you have pieces of this heritage, and then not only we don't all fly under the banner of being black in all actuality, because to be honest, I mean, African people don't necessarily accept the Black Americans as we come from Africa originally. We're so spliced up. If you're not Trinidadian, you're Jamaican, you're from the East Coast, you're from the West Coast, you're from up north, you're from down south. I'm from Toronto, guy. Like, we're a totally divided community, not only by skin color, but I mean the outside communities place us under one skin color. But when we all really get together, I don't know my neighbors, to be honest. I don't necessarily know their names, but I definitely know the lady at the end of the hall is Haitian. Those two apartments, they Haitian. They Spanish. I think they from the Dominican Republic. Like, we're a totally divided. I could tell you everybody's ethnicity going down the hallway, but I can't necessarily tell you everybody's name, perhaps. And I'm that's a flaw. That's definitely a flaw. It's not good, but I'm not the only person that lives in that situation.
It's part of being displaced. That's what happens as a displaced people. You don't have anything to latch on to. And I personally feel like, I mean, as a quote unquote African American growing up in New York City, when I went to high school, which serves a predominantly Afro-Caribbean community, I got what were called backhanded, what I would definitely consider backhanded comments. Oh yeah, Rabia is she African American, but she don't act like it. Like, what what does that mean? She act like one of us. Like, okay, well, what does that mean? Just this wanting to be different. Wanting to be different, wanting to have something to latch onto, and not necessarily having anything to latch onto, especially if your roots are grounded here in America. Not have supposedly, or not having what people consider to be culture, and what other black people consider to be culture. And then you're othered. You're othered, and I don't want to necessarily say ostracized or alienated, but you are definitely othered if you are a black American. That's less desirable. Nobody wants to be that. And yeah, I mean,
Well,
but everybody comes here to America, but whatever. You know what I mean? But that's another way to keep us divided, to keep us separated, and to create a hierarchy. Yeah.
yeah, I
Let me
definitely
chime in for a minute, Jimmy. And I think that you all make some extremely good points, especially about the crabs in the barrel, about the community empowerment, economic empowerment, about the what is it called? The slave trauma thing? Slave syndrome. And I guess the ironic thing about it is that even though we have these ills that exist within our community, we have so many people who have the educational attainment, have the economic attainment, have the development attainment, and it's like one is in one sphere, one is in another sphere, another one is in another sphere, another was another sphere. But if those spheres can come together, I do think that there could be a sense of a black community, not necessarily a black neighborhood. Think about all the money that we spend to these vendors. We spend more money per capita. These big, huge mega churches that are being built, all of the money that is going, it's like we're investing money, but we're investing it in the wrong places.
Right.
So it's not like the money is not there. It's just a matter of being educated and being aware of how you're spending your money and thinking that you are worth it. I think sometimes we talk about the crabs in the barrel. I think sometimes we have allowed society to engage and be a catalyst for us to desensitize the way that we look at each other. But we have to go beyond society. We have to control the tenor of what society says about us. We have the means to do that, but it's just saying, okay, I can do this and just make it happen. I know it's easier said than done if you're dealing with stuff that happened 400 years ago, but to just have the mindset that I have the economic ability. It exists. We spend those Korean shops, those hair, wig places, and all them bodegas wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the black dollar. And we stopped putting that dollar in those stores would close down.
Yep.
I think you're right in terms of a lack of education. I mean, listen, we're sitting in this room right here, and we're sitting here because these are things we want to talk about. These are things we want to think about. But is that true for the masses? Is that true for the masses? Like, is this, I mean, look, I want to listen to Future a little bit later, maybe. But at the same time, like, is there a balance in our community where people are thinking about these things also?
Well, not necessarily saying if that's true for the masses, but how do you reach the masses, right? Because I was gonna harken on that too. Like John says that, like, we're all educated, right? That's absolutely true. But what about the masses? How is that information? You know what I mean? So, because then still, I think that's still a divide, right? Everybody here is so quote unquote educated,
right,
and you don't necessarily
I
engage.
I almost said
or
the educated
entertain
thing.
the masses. And is that I mean, what about that? What does that say about us as a people, that when we come together or when we attain a certain level of education, or when we are able to, or when we are able to accumulate or amass a certain amount of wealth, that stuff is then taken outside of our community, and we don't come back and give that to the masses. We don't come back and share that as a community.
Let me tell you about the educated black person. This thing is a total game. I'm sorry to say, it is a lie. It is a total lie, because the educated black person, when you're talking about collegiately educated,
Yeah.
okay. So when I started college in 1998, it was like, you're in that associate's program, go for it. I'm telling you, you're gonna need that associates. By the time I got the associates, and because the schools didn't have the support, and I was bouncing around for 4 years trying to get the associates, couldn't get student financial aid anymore. Started to take out the loans, right? By the time I got the associates, it wasn't really worth nothing. It's like, you better go back and get that bachelor's. So you go back and you get that bachelor's, be like, all right. By the time you get that, it's like, that master's. The master's is where it's at. Everybody's getting that master's. And I went and I got the master's degree. And at the end of the day, if I'm not talking about owning my own business or starting or entrepreneurship or anything like that, I still got to ask a white man for a job.
But
so something is wrong.
Or not even necessarily, you still have to ask a white man for a job, but that it still doesn't benefit your community unless you come back and start some type of business, just like John was saying, unless we find other ways to invest this money. If you don't come back and you don't start some type of, because personally I feel like this, if you're going out there and you're getting these degrees, and I'm not necessarily talking about a bachelor's degree, right, because everybody has one, but once you go out there and you get these graduate degrees, if you're going out there and you're getting this master's degree, and especially if you're going out there and getting this PhD, especially the PhD, that doesn't necessarily serve a purpose unless you're going to be in academia. And once you go and you get these advanced degrees, you are isolated. You isolate yourself from the masses. I even remember as just getting a master's degree, wondering why this stuff that I'm reading, why does the jargon have to be so exclusionary? Like, because this is what it is. This is an exclusive conversation, right? I'm differentiating myself right now from the masses of people. And that's what happens when you go and get these advanced degrees. So if it's for the purpose of being an academic, then that's totally fine. But notice that when you become an academic, you isolate yourself from the masses of people. If you're going out and you're getting these degrees and you isolating yourself from the masses of people, how do you in turn help your community? You don't.
Well, the thing about it is these things were exclusionary. They were exclusionary before you. They were to keep a lot of people out. And then a few of us started to sneak in. Like, let's think about law school, right? Before I wanted to get a master's in public administration, I thought about going to law school. Then I found out there are only so many law schools that actually do classes where you could work at the same time. Essentially, you have to quit work to go to law school. That's exclusionary. So I can't keep my job, so I could keep my apartment, so I could keep my kids fed and go to law school? No, you have to quit. I don't have the means and the resources to do that. These things are designed to be exclusionary. And now we get inside and you realize that you're in a space where you don't see your people or you don't relate to your people. It's because it was never designed for you. But things like, I don't even want to say affirmative action, these things, they got to put one or two of us in there. That's why you're there.
Right, but even if you go in there and you're getting a degree, what are you coming back and bringing into your community? So I think that if we ever going to try to achieve any type of anything, right? If there's ever going to be any type of economic upliftment or development, the ends has to justify the means. I'm going and I'm getting this degree so I can come back to my community and I can implement this. If that's not the purpose, then it's kind of in vain. I don't know. That's how I see it.
Very few people go away to school to say, like, I'm gonna come back to my community. It's just like I'm going to get this piece of paper
Do-
so I could get this.
Okay, so
next.
do very few people say that, or do very few black people say that?
Very few. Well, definitely black people not thinking about that. You thinking about getting this degree so you can move out of your neighborhood as far as you can.
Herein lies the problem.
Right.
If the goal is just to move out of your neighborhood so you can move next to the white person who don't want you there any damn way,
because they leaving once
right?
you get there.
So now you went and you got the degree and you got the education. Instead of coming back and bringing that into your community, now you going and you leaving now so you could go live next to somebody who don't want you any goddamn way. Then, I mean, what's the purpose?